Pratik, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
It's afternoon already. We finally agreed to have this chat. And so let me just start with the podcast introduction. Hi guys, welcome back to episode 5 of Converzations. This podcast that I started a few months ago had sort of died a natural death because I couldn't get guests on it. People were shy or for whatever reason. It didn't take off as I liked. I did 4 back-to-back episodes and then couldn't record after that. But Pratik right here, who's a distinguished actor and who's got a lot of talent, so he's one to watch out for in the future, has kindly agreed to do this. And he was actually sort of pestering me and following up with me to organize this. And it's really a privilege. And I'm really fortunate to be here with him. We've organized this recording in one of the WeWork offices, which also happened through one of his mutual friends. And we've got all the setup ready. This is a first time for me. I'm used to doing this on Zoom. So this is kind of transitioning to the next level, and the podcast is slowly taking off. It's also something that's pretty satisfying for me. So Pratik works in a tech company which is into sports data management. Yeah, so maybe you can introduce yourself. Yeah.
So firstly, I think Alden has spoken too highly of me. I'm just an upcoming actor, and when he asked me to do this, I was like, first question was, why would anybody want to listen to me? And he sort of convinced me that everybody interviews the big stars.
Yeah, it's meant for the ordinary people.
Yeah, so he was like, it would be nice to pick the brains of a struggling actor, so to speak. So I'm very grateful that I'm here. It's my pleasure, actually, Alden. Secondly, I've spent a good part of my 20s doing business, and now I'm working with a data company just to keep my dream of acting alive as well, because it supports me. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it. I work mostly with cricket related stuff. Not all of which I'm prepared to discuss here because this is about my acting journey. Right. But yeah, short and sweet, that's what I do. Then I do a bit of trading as well on the stock market.
Very nice.
So these are my other sources of income, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you manage funds? Do you invest?
No, it's
just personal.
Just personal.
Okay.
Funds, yeah.
Okay. That's nice.
Yeah, that's going forward. I think that's what I would want to depend on. As long as I'm struggling as an actor, right? So that is my goal for it.
Right. So just to go back, Pratik, before we get into the regular questions that are charted out, I'm curious, to know one thing in particular, because I think the first time we interacted, of course, now you finished your third play, which is Bhagat, but after family, there wasn't much of interaction because I felt like you were doing a small role in that, and even for me, it was all a bit new. I wouldn't reach out to the individual actors and then DM them and all that. So just sort of took a back seat. But then Bali or Shambhu, the character you played in that really blew me away. And I think you really carved a niche in that play. The way you took up that character, the way you delivered, the way you performed, the way and that's fictional again. It's not real life. So you really gave him a shape and a whole story, and I think everyone was a bit shell shocked at the end of it. So after that, I could see that everyone wanted a photo with Bali because there was that aura around you after the show was done. And then I reached out to you, and you were so kind that I was like, dude, this guy is more interested to meet me. I don't know what it was, but what was that curiosity like? What triggered you to? What interested you?
So the thing is, I didn't
catch up.
When we spoke just before Bali Shambhu, and you said you would be kind enough to come and record it. It was more of me finding people who are coming together for this group at Theatre Nama and for this art form to survive. I mean, it's like, when you do good things, good people, you find good people around you.
Karma.
So yeah, that was that for me. And I said, listen, here's somebody who's spending a good part of his weekend and he just wants to record it for the love of it. So that's what drew me towards you, because you're also in it for the right reasons. And those right reasons being just your growth as a documentary filmmaker, I might add, or just somebody who records experiences at a level which requires promotion, which requires people's attention, and it doesn't get it because it's at that level where it cannot afford different marketing. So that was also one of our goals at Theatre Nama, because I come from a marketing background. I've studied marketing. So that's why if you look at it distinctly, we've tried to almost make our plays, our play promotions in ways which are like movie promotion. We have this coming soon poster, motion poster. We are trying our best to bring in factors which people are normally exposed to.
Elevate the experience gradually.
And it's required because now people are exposed to that kind of marketing in terms of movies that are produced and the kind of money that's put in marketing. People are used to that. So a simple poster in today's time just won't cut it. We need more robust marketing activities. We need to attract people like, hey, listen, even plays can be marketed this way without revealing much content.
Exactly.
We don't have the luxury of a theatrical trailer, so to speak. But we can do our bit, and that is what we are trying to do. And when you reached out for Bali Shambhu and you were kind enough to record it, and I was like, here is somebody who's doing it for the right reasons, and I should definitely connect with him, because for me, it's also an opportunity to meet a fellow growing artist. You're an artist in your own right. So for me, it's comes from that place. That is why I was keen to meet you, and I also discovered that you're a wonderful guy. So it's always nice to have good people around you, people who are honest, not only in their craft but honest with you as well. So that's why I think it's just a beginning of a long-standing friendship between us. And I hope we both can grow as professionals in our own field.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, you calling me an artist, that's high praise. It really means a lot and really touches me. But another thing I want to go into just to connect that is theater versus film, right? These are two different genres, two different beasts altogether. And there's so much apart, because film gets all the limelight and theater is sort of where the foundations are, where the real actors are, and you can't lie on stage, because it's all one take. And if you're not happy with whatever it is, you got to come back, because there was this other story that I think Akanksha had recorded of you guys getting off stage, and then there was a huge argument. If you remember in Gagan. Recently, I mean, whatever, there was that discussion. So I was like, dude, everything played out so beautifully. There was absolutely, no hiccup whatsoever. And then there's so much going on behind the scenes. And for everyone to put everything aside and be in that stoic mentality and just come on stage and deliver, be a professional like that. It takes some doing, and everyone is kind of new to the craft, right? We're not talking about people with a wealth of experience. So, I mean, how is that professional mentality brought about, and what is it about Theatre Nama that has such a high level of talent and sort of actually collaboration?
We've been lucky in that sense, because firstly, to answer your question about theatre versus cinema, is that of course cinema has a lot of money behind it, right? And it's a product of volume, like I said, again, there will be a lot of references about business and marketing because I come from that background. It's a volume-based business, right? You are telling a story which will reach probably tens of millions of people in a movie, so they will recover that cost in terms of per ticket cost, right? Theater in that sense is kind of handicapped, because one show can fill about 300. Let's say even if it's a large auditorium and a very famous cast,
whatever famous story, it will be 1,000 people reach at once.
Max. Yeah.
So whatever your budget is, it has to fit around that kind of a scale, right? That is the challenge in theater. So you're right about theater building the foundation as an actor, as a director, and everything. But screen in itself has a lot of its own challenges. Screen has a challenge because there is a plethora of talent coming together to create one product. Whereas in theater, once you're on stage, the director has no control. He can only control the lighting.
Correct.
There's not much he can then do.
Yeah.
It's upon the actors.
Yeah.
That's where the preparation comes in. That's where the work behind the scenes goes on. And about that video also that you are speaking about, it was about our learning from our first show. And that was the instruction that was being given out. We obviously muted it, or we added some other music in the background. But it was just a very small instruction based on what we learned that afternoon. So
that was the evening show.
Yeah. That clip was from the evening show. So that just says about it, right? That's how flexible you have to be as an artist. Because just from the afternoon show, it was just literally an hour before that, the commencement of the next show, we learned something. And we wanted to impart that. So that was the instruction given. Though we looked very serious, the instruction was pretty ordinary. It was not something extraordinary. It's just that I think we were in that mood. So it was like, it looked like we're angry or like driven, but the instruction was very, very ordinary, very, very normal. That was what was played out. That's about it. But otherwise, Theatre Nama is actually, if I have to talk about its beginning, Theatre Nama is a product of zeal and drive of two people, Kanishka Joshi and Ashish Rana. Because, in fact, I met Ashish and Kanishka because we were supposed to do some other play with some other group. And then that play got shelved because of the second lockdown. But we had befriended each other, and then Ashish and Kanishka grew much closer as friends. We realized that Ashish has been doing this since he was a kid, so he has like an enormous amount of experience behind him. And he wanted to direct. So everybody needs that bit of a push, and I think around him, some friends like Paul, who also is now acting with us, they all pushed him, saying, "Listen, we'll pinch in the money and we'll do it." Cut to Jan of this year, and I get a call from Kanishka saying, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking for avenues," and it sort of like fell in, like sometimes in life, it doesn't happen all the time, but it feels
comes
like
together.
Coming together. Kanishka called me and I said, "Listen, I'm also planning to get back because my growth as an actor has been stunted because of all this." And then he's like, "Listen, we're doing this." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on board." It doesn't matter what the role is, what it is. Nothing. I just want to be there and act.
Love of acting.
That's how family happened. And family also, in fact, I'll tell you a small issue. For the longest time, there were 3 female characters in that. We got 2, we just not getting one, the last one. And it's like 2 weeks to go for the show, we still haven't got one, still haven't got one. Finally, that happened, like I said, and then it fell into place. And then family happened at a time when it was still, I think, COVID restrictions were in place, half capacity, and that half capacity was filled. So in a way, albeit in half capacity, our first show was a full house, right? So that is the encouragement. So that is the encouragement we needed. And then Balisham was actually in the pipeline as well, parallelly along with family. But so for whatever reason, it just took so much time, and whenever it came out, it came out. That is a different journey in itself. I think Ashish showed great confidence in me to give me Bali with Kanishka. The one good thing about that casting was Kanishka and I have this friendship off stage as well. So we sort of know what the other person is thinking. We don't need to communicate that much, which helps on stage sometimes because you have to improvise.
Can you get into that? How do you know Kanishka? When did
Kanishka, like I said, I met him during that play that got shelved with some other group. That is when I met Kanishka. And then Kanishka and Ashish went to Delhi during the lockdown, and they started working with a theatre group there. Ashish used to conduct workshops there, and 3 months or 4 months down the line, when I met Kanishka again, and I could see a change in him. That grew my confidence in Ashish as well, because he was able to impart those changes on Kanishka as an actor. Then Kanishka and I also talk a lot about a lot of other things off theater or off stage, be it sports, be it politics. We just have a very
good bond.
Good bond, yeah. And then that sort of translates on stage, because I trust him as much as he trusts me. So I know that any mishap that happens can be handled without much needed to be. Not a lot has to be said between us.
Yeah, that telepathy is there.
Yeah.
So
it's almost
what
like,
each one is feeling.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to compare it with cricket or football. It's about two players who make eye contact and then they just run. Two batsmen. They don't need to like call.
Exactly.
They just like run. They trust each other since. Yeah. It's almost like that.
You can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, I know what he's sort of thinking. Because, that's what. And in fact, it happened. Like I'll give you an example. From Bali Shambhu, I'll speak about it, right? So there is a scene in Bali Shambhu where Shambhu instructs Bali to mop the floor, and Bali sort of pawns it off to the servant there, who's Gautam. So and then the moment he wakes up, according to the script and the rehearsals, we are just supposed to move on from that. Right. If given an instruction, I have then given that work to Gautam. Vivek was playing Gautam, and whereas there's a very strict instruction from Shambhu that you have to do the mopping, but I sort of pawn it off on Gautam, played by Vivek. But when we did it in Vyoma, the setting was so small.
Tu kar le, you said.
So no. The interesting thing was he woke up and Gautam's character was in his face. So it'd be very weird to ignore him, because just 30 seconds ago he has asked me to do that work. Yeah. So his immediate reaction, which was very natural, was he said, "Why is Gautam doing that work? I have asked you to do it." It was not there in the script. It was not there in the rehearsal. And I played along saying, "Arey, he wanted to do it. Uska man tha, to maine socha bacche ka man rakh liya." This wasn't planned. For anyone who saw Bali Shambhu, they know what I'm talking about. Yeah. It wasn't planned. So this is what I'm saying, right? Like he can trust me with that improvisation, and I can trust him. Yeah. And even in fact, they will not notice it. But even in Bali Shambhu, the first show, I sort of went ahead with somewhere where I was going to skip one scene because I said that dialogue much earlier than I was supposed to. Oh. And without anybody noticing it, Shambhu pulled it back. So you've
got to work hand in hand so much, right? Because of course, I mean, we're not a database, or we're not a computer to exactly reproduce what it is. Your mind plays tricks on you and kind of goes back and forth that much. So I'm just wondering technically, right? Like you have a script A, B, C, D, and then suddenly you move to X because you improvise.
That's exactly.
And then you got to come back to E.
Yeah.
So how is that journey like? And do you get flustered because now you're lost because you've improvised somewhere and you're like, dude, this is the sequence. You got to go back to that.
In the first family screening, also this happened. That time, I think we were all a bit flustered, but that was the growth. Like from at Bali Shambhu, we were not flustered. We knew that somebody will.
Yeah.
In this case, Shambhu pulled it back.
Trust the other person.
Kanishka, he pulled the play back.
Yeah.
And that's how we managed to save that situation.
Yeah. But there is a huge risk element. I mean, if somehow the other person is
I mean, it was a mistake that was covered up. It was not an improvisation. It would be wrong to say it was an improvisation. It was some mistake that one actor was saying, and it happens a lot in theater. People don't realize it because they are saying it for the first time.
Yeah.
But we managed to pull it back without anybody noticing. That's the key, right? Otherwise, you will notice that. So that's the thing. Like when he said, why is Gautam mopping? If I paused for 10 seconds, it's gone.
It's gone.
The thing is gone, right? Yeah. Like the whole.
That's a giveaway. I mean, everyone would know that it's collapsed.
So that's just like that is the improvisation.
Yeah.
But with the mistake, also nobody. That was the improvisation. Yeah. The mistake on my part was during the play. I did an action which has a counterpart. Like you said, it's gone to page E now.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to bring back to page B. And then he sort of like very smoothly did that.
Yeah.
And he sort of like recreated that.
Correct. Because that also, I mean, from a viewer's point of view, it's also because you become Bali.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, dude, I can say whatever I want now. I'm the character.
Yeah.
Screw the lines, kind of thing.
Not really. Not really. I am somebody who likes to stick by the lines because I believe the writer has written it with some purpose. I might add a word here, a word there, or I might rephrase it based on the style that that character requires. But I will not try to change anything.
Yeah,
so to speak.
Because it disrupts the flow.
Yeah, like I said, the other actors have to be good enough to not good enough. I would say would have to be in tune with your frequency.
Yeah, they need to know what you're going to do.
Two great actors might be on stage and not be in the same frequency. They will not be able to cover it up.
Correct.
Because, like I said, I have a bond with Kanishka, and same thing happened with Aman, who was playing Sukhdev as well, right? In Gagan Tamma. I have such a good bond off the screen. Of the stage, sorry, that it reflects on the stage, and a very interesting connotation of that would be that before the second show, and I'm being completely candid here. Whatever energy we had on stage, majority of that came from the crowd. Because you were there, right?
Yeah.
It was a 300 capacity. We had 320 people there. People are sitting on the staircase and watching it. Some people were even standing.
Yeah, it was jam packed.
And the energy was flowing. It was almost like, come on, like this is it, like
buzzing.
This is like it was buzzing. It was flowing through us. And there was a moment where I saw him and he saw me, and we knew that where we have to start this, where the energy level has to be, because it was just there in the air that time.
Yeah.
It was a patriotic play and it was just flowing, like, come on, like, this is it. Like, from the first scene, we took it there and then he took it.
I mean, that flight took off with Manchat Par's dialogue, the opening one, the Baisakhi monologue. I don't know how many times I've seen it back on record, but goosebumps every time, the way she delivered. I believe Swati did really well.
Swati did really well. She was making the first show,
and I wasn't there for that.
Difficult to compare, right? Performances.
Exactly.
Even the first show, who was playing Bhagat Singh, Manish, and was playing Sukhdev, Paul, even they did a great job. It's unfortunate that we don't have that.
I mean, I'm to blame for
watching it, right? So that is the thing. But even they did a good job. But in the second one, just the energy from the crowd was amazing. Everybody was like, come ho, like, come on, like, let's do this type. And that sort of reflected on the stage. And everybody just sort of then carried on that energy. It is something also very interesting on stage, because one character has certain energy. It's not only up to Bhagat, but of course, Bhagat Singh is the lead character, so he drives the play, right?
Yeah.
So Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev to a large extent drive the play. Even Markand, actually, he
yes. And that dynamic was really interesting, because Datsab and Markand, it would ebb and flow, because the energy would kind of, taper down when their scenes came up, and again it would pick up when the main cast was on stage.
They're reflecting on it.
Yeah.
They are sort of like going back in memory. Right. And they are older, right? Datsab, of course, has a condition of cancer. These are all true facts, in fact. So, about that, Sabdo Markand is a fictional character. What Piyush Mishra said, he wrote the play. Markand is the driver of the play.
Yeah.
And whatever scenes are happening with Bhagat Singh now are a playback.
Right.
So, that's when the energy will sort of like die down, because they're older people.
Yeah.
But when it's sort of like flashback and then it like goes boom.
Yeah.
So that is the difference in energy that is required for the play. And it also shows, like, these guys were what? 21, 22, 23 years when they died, right?
Exactly.
So obviously they'll have a lot of energy they will have. And they were driven by passion for the motherland in ways that nobody has seen before, and probably nobody will see in today's day of capitalism, things like that. So it was just, for me, I'm very grateful to Ashish. But I'll give you a very small anecdote. When we started the first reading, and he said that along with Shai will be playing Bhagat Singh, inside me, my soul went to the heaven. Right? I'm going to get to play Bhagat Singh. But the very next line he said was, this is not an opportunity. This is a responsibility because you're playing somebody who's real, who lived and
exactly
and did so much.
Yeah.
Immediately next moment, my soul came back and I said, okay, there's something. Though there's excitement,
there's a weight attached to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of weight that goes behind it.
Yeah.
And somewhere I hope I've done justice to it in my own way.
Mm.
But he also, that's the best thing about Ashish. He gives you freedom to explore. He said, I don't want you to become Bhagat Singh. I want to know what Bhagat Singh would be if you were Bhagat Singh. If Pratik was Bhagat Singh. Let's say if there is Bhagat Singh today and you were that person.
Right.
There's certain
like the modern day Bhagat.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe you can say that. Or you can say that what qualities of Bhagat Singh, if those qualities were present in you, what would that be like? Because there's an element of you as well.
Exactly. Because it's got to relate to the current day audience. It's not like, you go back in time and play that and then people are like, it's not really relevant. I can't connect to it. Yeah.
That was the crux of it.
Yeah.
And from then on, I knew that what I am going to do is not only a great opportunity to explore the character and explore this legend that was Bhagat Singh, but it is also about doing justice to his thought process, trying to imbibe that thought process.
Yeah.
And luckily, a lot of it I connect to.
Yeah,
I connect to a lot of what he says.
You are a nationalist and patriot.
Not nationalist. I mean, this is the exact. I am a patriotic person. There are no two doubts about it. But what I want to really want to communicate through, I tried a bit. I don't know how much I was able to achieve it through the character as well. Is that this man should not be remembered just as a freedom fighter.
Yeah,
I think his loss was a loss to the philosophical society of the world, to the thinkers of the world, because he was so much ahead of his time. So much ahead. And we lost him when he was just 23. Yeah. I don't know what he would have done if he was alive for his normal lifespan.
Right.
But his loss, I can write this anywhere, I can vouch for this anywhere, that his loss was not just a loss of a freedom fighter, but a loss to the philosophical society of the world, to the thinkers of the world.
Right.
He was just amazing. His mind was just at a different timeline.
I mean, the audacity that you should have to take on the British Empire at that point in time and have a completely different angle, to approach it than what Gandhi had.
Actually, growing up, he was a huge admirer, almost you can say a follower of Gandhi. But somewhere down the line, I think he still admired the qualities that Gandhiji or the philosophy that Gandhiji carried. But he knew that this is not the right time for it. Human beings weren't evolved. We're still not. We're still indulging in violence, right? They're not evolved enough to digest this as a movement. Right. That's where he went off. But he also never believed, and in fact, I think he lived to regret the killing of Saunders, yeah, because I think eventually he learned that there's a better way to do it, and which then shows that he was living. But he's like, I think he drew a parallel where he was like, let's not indulge in violence, but let's not just accept it as well. Let us resist.
Right.
Let us resist in whichever form we can.
Yeah.
And at the worst case, if it does mean taking up arms, then so be it. But for the right reasons. Always for the right reasons.
So, I mean, there were multiple scenes in the play, right? You talk about when the milk was poured on. On his face, and then it goes into his lungs, and that gets filled up, and then the hanging scene also, where you guys you embrace before it's the noose is put around, and then you die laughing basically because you're happy about it, and you're giving your soul for the country, and you're laying down your life. And also at the end where Sukhdev recites that poem, which I believe was sort of composed on the go.
Yeah.
It had a bit of improv, a few lines added.
They were taken
from the
from
script.
different.
Rang De Basanti and all that.
And that the Ore Bismil Ka Shaate Aaj Tum.
Yes.
Written by Piyush Mishra ji.
Yeah.
So we sort of merged that.
Yeah. And then hitting the flame and putting it out. So that was so significant. But what would be one scene if you could pick one, just as one moment, which sort of was the wow factor kind of thing in the whole play?
From a very large objective perspective, I think the hanging scene has to be it. Because, and what you saw there, right? Like I later made a slow-mo video of that just to promote it later on, just for my own memory. And when I slowed it down, I could see that all three of us were actually hugging as if we were hugging for the last time.
Yeah.
And three of us are friends. We are very bonded together in that sense. So for that, I think for that one scene, I was almost I believe that this is the last time I'm going to be with these guys, and they believe that too.
Yeah.
So that emotion came out from that, but the underlying emotion is still of content that I'm doing this with my own choice. I am death is not taking me. I am inviting death.
Yeah.
With a sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
You're not, and I know that because when I say I mean Bhagat Singh knows that because he knows that. This is not death. This is but just the beginning.
Yeah.
So he's like, come take me. Like, he's almost like challenging death,
Right.
You can take my body. You can even maybe take my soul, but you can't erase me from history.
Yeah.
So that was what was my thought process. Because I knew that was what was his thought process, or at least I was convinced that was his thought process.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you can't see it on stage because we are so far back. You can't see my eyes, or you can't see my expression completely. But that is what I mean.
It does radiate. Whatever it was, given the lighting and all that. And these are the moments that create history. Say if it was a normal hanging and whatever happened, just happened. And they did it at an unusual time also to avoid, an uprise and all that. So that really, that's why it's remembered for so long.
True.
Right? And it also helps that three of you are so well knit and good friends in person. That translates to Bhagat, Sukhdev, and Rajguru.
In fact, I was so convinced about both of them that for the longest time before the play, I was not addressing them as Kanishka and Aman. I was like, hey, so what's up? So it's like, imagine,
that's part of the preparation.
It sort of happened organically. It's like as if Sukh, Bhagat, and Rajguru are living now. Let's say we go out to have a juice or a cup of tea together. You would still be like, what's up, Sukh? Like, like imagine if maybe Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev and Rajguru, probably they would talk in this lingo. Right? They'd be like, what's up, Sukh? What's happening? Kya chal raha hai, kya hal chal? So that's what it was. And eventually that's what translated on the stage as well. Because I was convinced that if I am Bhagat Singh, this is my Sukhdev, this is and I am there Bhagat Singh, and this is my Rajguru. So that was the essence of it.
And is that a choice, or is that something Ashish kind of emphasizes on, that as long as you're playing that part, immerse yourself and become the person?
Like I said, it was
wholeheartedly.
It was organic. It was never an instruction. It was just that we get along so well on and off the stage.
Right.
And Aman also, I've known him for the lesser time period than I've known Kanishka, but we've become so thick as friends.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's a product of this play.
Yeah.
It's just organically we are just so thick.
Connect to.
We have very similar thought processes. And that sort of then helped us become, because I think Aman, because of some work commitment, had gone back. And he was like, kaise hoga? And I was like, no, I'll help you learn the lines. We'll get on call, we'll talk about.
He was telling you.
No, I was telling him. He was telling me like, kaise hoga? Because the work commitment had to go out of the city. And I was like, no, if this is happening, it's happening. I'm playing Bhagat Singh to your Sukhdev. So let's
because that it affects you, right? If you lose one character, you're like, it's not the same. The dynamic is different.
The dynamic is different. but we would have still pulled it off. But I don't know if I would feel the same.
Yeah, may not have been at the same level that it was.
Maybe it could have, because even Paul is a great friend.
Yeah,
he's also a great actor. So for me, it would not have been that.
Because I can't imagine it, without Aman being
that's
there.
the watcher's bias. Like, once you watch me with Aman, and Kanishka.
Yeah.
But Kanishka played Rajguru in both the shows.
Yeah.
So he can provide a better perspective, I guess. But
right.
But for me, that was it. For you guys also, because you saw us.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody saw both the plays.
Right.
They might be able to tell us. But even then, the first watch bias will always remain.
Yeah. And I mean, it must have been a huge honor and also added pressure to have Piyush sir present in the second show. So was that playing on your mind, or what was it?
Personally, I can see not.
Okay.
Because for me, I think once I am on stage, I'm
in the zone.
I'm able to block out. In fact, I tell you what was in fact more touching for me was that I saw people standing. Like I said in the beginning, I saw people standing, I saw people sitting, and it's not like they were sitting with the face that "Arey yaar, kya hum log niche baith ke dekh." They were like, "Come on, that's what I mean. That's what I mean when the energy was flowing." So I was like, that's when that was the exact moment. In fact, I can reliving it as I speak to you. That I saw that, and then I know that even Aman saw that, and we sort of acknowledge that, okay, like this is it.
Yeah,
like it's now or never kind of a thing.
I mean, playing or performing to a packed audience is all you want in life. Right? It's validation.
Yeah, and it's only then once you. In fact, my mother was sitting beside you, right?
Yeah, on my left.
Yeah, and for she told me after the play that at some point I had this mother's instinct that they're beating my child. But for me, it didn't matter. For me, there was no sense of that. For me, I was not noticing that.
Yeah.
Only just before the play started, when we saw the full house, like I said, I had that glance with Aman.
Yeah.
After that, it didn't matter. I mean, you can't let these affect you. Tomorrow, maybe, let's say, tomorrow, anybody that will look up to might be sitting in front and watching you.
Yeah.
You can't let that.
And focus has to be strong enough.
And
has to be
unwavering. I come from a cricketing background. Played cricket at a semi-professional level, university level, and we face that.
Yeah.
So suddenly, when you're small, when your coach is watching you, or if the selector is watching you, you can't let that dictate your game.
True.
And now, once you grow older, you sort of imbibe that.
Yeah.
That has helped me. Cricket has helped me in that sense.
Yeah.
On stage.
Yeah, I mean, since you touched upon your mother, I mean, I'm sure that they have a lot of nice things to say once you're back home after a performance, especially once you hit it out of the park, so to speak. So what are the thoughts like? I mean, what do they generally tell you? What?
No, I think
what's the feedback?
I think my the whole structure or the whole aura in my house is as such where there is always appreciation, but then there's reflection. It immediately goes to reflection. What could have been better? Because I come from a family of teachers. My father was in teaching. My maternal grandfather was in teaching. So it's always been, focus has been about learning from your experience. For whatever reason, I think it was my dad's job and my grandfather's thing as well. We didn't touch upon this a lot when I was growing up, but now it's always been about learning. Okay, so it's in the past now. What have you learned from it? What can you move forward? I just to give you a perspective about what the thought process is. One of my friends went up to my father and said, "Uncle, how do you feel? Pratik just did really well and sort of like few appreciation towards me." And my dad's response was, it was him and Sukhdev. So it is the whole policy of teamwork for self is very instilled in my family. Also, my grandfather as well used to play a lot of sports himself. So my father also come from a big family. So there is always we before I kind of attitude.
True. Yeah.
And that has been magnified because of my journey in cricket as well. So it's always this thing. I think I will be the last person to take credit for the success of it, because there's just so many elements that come together for that to happen.
Exactly.
It's not only me. In fact, when I looked at the video for self-reflection, I saw that Sukhdev and Pankaj, who was playing Shiv Verma, they got a lot of beatings. They got a lot of bashings, right? So that went up there.
I mean, did that hurt? It looked pretty painful from where I was.
It was painful.
Yeah.
It was something that it is something that we need to
and
work
Santosh
on.
Is a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
You know, you see, he's quite fit. He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
cracking
yeah,
that
he
stick.
was. And again, this is again something that is confidence that we have in each other. That I knew that be it Pankaj Bhai, be it Aman, myself, or anybody else was present, they will not lose character because of the real lashings that we got. We're still walking wounded from that day.
Yeah.
But I knew that we will not lose character. I had that much confidence in them. They had that much confidence. We had confidence in each other. So we are like, just go for it. Don't just hit the fleshy parts. Don't hit the bony parts. Though Aman got hit on parts, I got hit on one part of my bone. But otherwise, we knew that they also knew that they're supposed to hit the fleshy part. But I guess in sort of that movement,
I mean,
something that we have to work on is also a choreography again.
Correct.
But we wanted it to be real.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be real. We were convinced.
Because if it's soft, you can tell. You know, it's they're just doing it as a scene. It's not.
We wanted the kicking to be as real because with kicks, you can handle it. All those guys are very tough. So we are also tough guys. So we knew we would be able to handle it. We would not lose character. So we didn't want we just careful that nobody gets hit in the head or somewhere where they lose character or something extraordinary happens. We just like keep it below this thing and just hit the fleshy part. We'll take that much. And we were in that zone. To be honest, like at that time we were not Pratik, we were not. It's just like it might sound like floating.
Yeah.
But we were
Once
not.
the lights go off, it's
At that time we were like Sukhdev. We were all taking meetings for the country.
Yeah.
We were taking meetings for an idea that we believed in. So for us it didn't matter. Just continued right. Nobody could tell that it distracted us or it harmed our play. And we just continued with our characters, and that was supposed to be it.
Yeah.
That was. Hats off to those guys because they got a lot more lashings than me, which was strange because I was supposed to also get equal lashings, but for some reason I think they just you just catch hold of somebody and then won't move away and hit somebody else. That was what it was.
True.
But hats off to those guys, man. Like I saw the video and I was like, shit, these guys got a lot of beatings compared to me.
Yeah. And just a word on Azad, who Arvind played. And I mean, his level of talent, dude, it's not just acting, it's not his personality. He does music. And there's so much more that you can discover out of this guy. I mean, he's like an institution by himself.
Arvind, since he's also a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, stand-up as well.
As big as he is in person, he has that much amount of talent inside.
Yeah.
And he is so, he was doing the music and then he was singing, playing the keyboard, coming back and acting whenever his role was required. And I don't see anybody else characterizing Azad as well as we did.
Right.
And even with once the makeup, and I think I worked with him in Family as well. I think Arvind is a kind of an actor where once the makeup comes on, his transformation in, like they say there are some actors who go from external to internal. The moment they wear the makeup, the costume, they just become that.
Right.
I think he's somebody like that.
Yeah.
He can obviously
Shah Jahan in Taj Mahal.
He can agree to disagree or disagree to agree. But that's what I feel about him. Because then suddenly you look at him, it's like, oh shit, like all in this thing is like Azad. Like
it's a different individual.
Yeah. And like you said, he has a plethora of talent. He's just like, I sing so well, I mean, for him to do that and then do this and then also do stand-up comedy as well. And even in that, he's nothing short of excellent.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he does it. I have said this before in my group and I say it again. I think they are very, very talented individuals. They have different kinds of talents and they are much more talented actors than I am. I think I would be categorized as somebody who works very hard with his with his role. But they're just so good, man. I mean, just to switch so much is not easy.
Yeah.
It's not at all easy. It's almost near impossible to imagine that for me.
And in the same play, I mean, you're not saying, at different points of time. You just go off stage, you become a singer, you're part of the chorus, you come on stage as a musician, as Azad again. And then,
every that shows his command over music and singing as such, right?
Yeah.
Arvind Sundar is sometimes amazes you with the kind of stuff that he does.
Right.
And then to see that he also does stand-up comedy as well. So that guy, he works hard.
He's the whole package, yeah. So, I mean, just to finish up on this topic. So, if you were to compare the journey of preparation for Bali and for Bhagat, I mean, where is it the same and where is it different?
The same,
because it's different characters completely, right?
Completely different characters.
No comparison.
Yeah, not even one. Where it is similar is in your surrender to the director. That's where it is the same. Doesn't matter what character you're playing. At the end of the day, I mean, the director is also the first audience, right?
Yeah.
Because he sees there is his vision
in his mind.
But there's also a part of him that's observing as an audience. At the end of the day, acting is about storytelling. So are we communicating what we want to communicate in the right sense?
Right.
So he also sees that. And Ashish, like I said, gives a lot of freedom to his actors. And sometimes when we do something that he thinks adds or enhances the performance, what did you just do? Just keep it. Just keep it. Whatever you did, just keep it. And when we do something that is not in orientation with what the vision is or the story is, he'll be like, no, take it out. So that part remains the same.
Yeah.
Otherwise, for Bali Shambhu, it was more of me trying to become an older person, right? And in acting, they say there is a golden rule: don't play characters 5 years apart, up or down.
Okay.
It's sort of because
you mean in the character's age,
like your age versus the character's age.
Wow.
And theater artists around the globe are so good that they even switch genders and everything. So for me, as a beginner, that was a huge challenge. Okay. I'm playing somebody who's 15 years older to me. Kanishka is playing somebody who's 30, 40 years older to what he is.
Right.
So for us, that was a challenge. The challenge, because it looks caricature. Like if I ask you to play a kid, it looked like you're imitating a kid.
I look like a kid.
Yeah, maybe you'll be able to pull it off. But for me, it will be like a caricature, right? It will be very odd.
Yeah, or Arvind for that matter.
Yeah, might want to cut that. But that is what it is. It looks caricature. So to play it authentically was a huge challenge. To understand what that person of that age goes through was a huge challenge. For Bhagat, the challenge was how do you bring in the determination or the thought process that person has. Of course, every character you want to imbibe the thought process, then everything happens organically. But for me with Shahid Bhagat Singh was how do you
it's more factual.
Yeah, how do you find motivation that he had in my everyday life?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I did was I actually fasted for 3 days completely because they fasted for 114 days. The idea was for the show. The idea was not to lose weight or anything like that. The idea was
get that hunger.
Yeah, for me, for them to suddenly go into a hunger strike, which lasted 114 days, they required a lot of determination, which was fueled by their love for the nation and wanting equal rights and everything. None of those situations exist today. We are not in dire straits, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was about finding that sudden motivation to just quit food.
Yeah.
Just quit food completely. And by the 3rd day, I realized that I can, once I found the determination to fight through the 1st, 2nd, 3rd day, I was like, I think I found a bit of what he would have had. Yeah. That is what I want.
You got to step into their shoes.
Yeah. I would have done it for longer, I think, but the show was very close by. The risk of falling really was much higher.
Scary.
But for me, that was it. For me to
find. So you were on a liquid diet after the.
Nothing. I mean, the point was just to drink water enough to sustain through the day or the thing. There was nothing. Only water. That's it. Nothing else.
For 3 days before the show.
A week before the show.
Okay, but then you broke it like just before the
5 days before the show.
I can't imagine that level of energy on an empty stomach.
Yeah, but honestly speaking, that was another curiosity that I was carrying in myself. That what will happen?
Yeah.
By the third day or the second day. During the scene work in rehearsal, there was no loss of energy. I felt equally energetic. I felt whatever was inside me was coming out in the same kind of volume and impact.
Yeah.
I felt the loss of energy when I was driving back.
Yeah, when you're out of, when you're not buggers.
Yeah. So it was mundane activities, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly it was just so much more effort to just drive.
The body needs that fuel.
Yeah. But my roommates and people close to me were surprised by how calm I was. Because in fact, when you are in that state, you're generally pretty agitated and aggravated, right? But I was surprisingly very calm, extremely, almost like.
So you had a clear reason as to.
I don't know what you're doing. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you found strength through his soul.
Probably. I mean, you can sit and debate, but this is a fact that I was very calm.
Yeah,
I was extremely zen mode kind of a situation, and they were very surprised by that. A lot of people asked, "How are you so calm?"
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just that I was. Maybe I didn't have enough energy to even get myself aggravated. I don't know what it was, but I was very calm, and I had a lot more focus. One byproduct of that is that with every meal you tend to slow your mind tends to slow down. But here I didn't have that. Right?
Yeah,
I was just able to. In fact, I was surprised by the fact I was able to sleep. Because normally on an empty stomach it's difficult to sleep, but I was able to sleep. Maybe I was just so tired during the day, just fell asleep. Just felt good, The first day, third day, second day onwards, it was a struggle. First day was actually very good. You to focus a lot.
Right.
So I think that was my preparation, and I'm actually quite. I'm not saying Ashish approved of it. In fact, he was like, I don't want to fall ill and everything.
Exactly.
But like I said, he allows
crazy now.
He allows you to find
what
your
you
way.
want. Yeah.
Find your way. And that is it. With in fact, I'm too new to even speak about these things. I think with every play, I'm discovering new ways to reach there.
And the graduation is so steady, right? I can literally see the steps going up. And I don't know what's coming next, because every time I think, dude, you can't get better than Bali. And then this happens, and now I'm like, what next? How are we going to sort of blow our minds away with the next role? And I think that's the magic of Ashish.
Yeah, Ashish
in his selection and in his casting and in the product he puts out.
Yeah, he is somebody who's sometimes very sort of like picky in terms of like, but that happens rarely. That about what you have to do on stage. But most of the time, like I said, he allows you freedom as long as it's in whatever you're doing is in vision with what he has in his mind. It's fine. Where his genius comes in is to finish the product, to taper it down or to bring it up or whatever is required. That is where his experience really comes through. Because every actor is different, right? For him, it's managing so many actors, not just one person. I'm just worried about one character. He has to worry about so many things. And the light and the sound and everything.
Every small thing counts.
And every actor is different, right? As an individual.
Exactly.
So what is Ashish's greatest quality that I see is that people who are closest to him in the group, Aman and him have been friends for over a decade now. Mishka and him have been friends for long. I have been friends with him quite recently. But if we are the closest to him, he will give us the hardest time.
Right.
Most of the time, what happens is sometimes as humans, what we tend to do is when people are closest
you protect
to
your friends.
Yeah, you protect your friends or you are soft on them. But he's not on that. He's the hardest on us. And I'm grateful for that.
He wants you to take the load.
Yeah,
so you can kind of lessen it for
I don't know what it is, but I think he knows that we can take that, and he also knows that I want these guys to be the best. Maybe it is. I mean, because he wants everybody.
Some characters have to drive the show. The rest of them can come in and go off, but then these guys are the heart and soul of it.
No, not in that sense. I think it's more of like I want to push these guys to the limit, and I know I can take that liberty with them because I'm friends with them, because I'm closer to them. Whereas, like I said, some people might have another approach that these are my friends, let me go easy on them, but it's not that. It's like if you are close to me, you will have the hardest.
That's when the growth comes in.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, we are very grateful for that.
Yeah,
we are grateful that he pushes us to the limit. Yeah, only to just push us harder the next day. Yeah, and I kind of thrive in that kind of environment. I can say the same for Aman and Kanishka as well. Yeah, because and we make no mistake, we have our arguments in terms of not as not as individuals, but for the play. Yeah. Like I'll be like, this is what I am. This is why I'm doing it in a particular way. And if he's convinced, he'll be like, okay, we'll carry. But he'll be like, it's not coming out in that way. Whatever your thought process is not coming out. So we'll try to arrive at that separately, different way. But if not, then he'll be like, no, I don't think that whatever you're thinking is in line with what the vision is. Right. So it's very clear in that sense. Yeah. He pushes us because he knows that we can extract a lot more. Sometimes, we feel that this is the most that we can get, but he'll be like, no, I know these guys. I think he reads that in you. Yeah. And he similarly pushes everybody else also, albeit in a different way. But for us, he reserves his hardest for us, I guess. Yeah. The taskmaster or the harsh teacher comes out on us, and we're very happy with that. We don't have asked for more. So at the end of the day, I'm learning. I'm growing. What can I?
What is Ashish's background like? Has he been to NSD, or I mean, where has he got all this?
He got into NSD. He's been acting since he was a child, I think. So he's had about 10-15 years of experience in theatre. In different or in every role possible, backstage to lighting to acting.
Because he knows the craft in and out, you can just see it in him. And when he's on stage, it's like this guy, he knows what he's talking.
Unfortunately, for whatever reason, he knows best. He doesn't rate himself that much as an actor, or he doesn't trust himself that much as an actor. Yeah. But as a director, he is phenomenal in bringing out the best combination of things that people want to see without compromising on the story and the acting, the commercial element and the art element. Both of them come out extremely well with him. I think that is his strength. That he's able to give you something that you want to see, you want to come back and see it again. And yet it's not only commercial. There's a lot more about the art and the craft itself.
Because you have to be a leader, to be a director. Acting is one part of it. You're just being a team member, or you can say like a captain. But then as a director, you got to get the script together, choose the right play, the cast, the production, the overall casting. Work. Yeah.
And in fact, I mean, Touchwood, Theatre Nama has a great team. In a sense, every member is contributing so much more than just acting itself.
Right.
Like Anas, I think, does music for a lot of our shows. Yeah. And he's also a very good actor himself. And I mean, whenever he does, I want to work with him in the lead. Yeah. Because I know I can feed off that energy that he brings.
Gaurav also.
Gaurav is such a talent. Such a natural actor. All these guys, and they bring so much more onto the table as well. Priyanka does so much of the promotion work. Right? Everybody contributes something or the other. Vivek Bhai, who played Ram Prasad Biswal and everything. He with his experience of theatre in Bangalore, he solved so many problems for us. The momentum that is generated is not one or two people. If they're not responsible for it, it's the entire bunch. and everybody is moving forward with at like like at a breakneck speed, and that's what is driving theater drama. I would say that.
True.
It's not very easy to generate that kind of momentum. So I think the best thing for us is to ride it.
Yeah.
Just keep riding it.
Yeah.
Without worrying about too much ahead. Just keep riding it. Yeah.
Just go one step at a time, and take it as it comes. Because you're definitely heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
So, there's no need to doubt that.
Yeah.
And it has to come organically also somewhere. You can't kind of jump the gun and take it somewhere else, and then you don't want to drop that level.
No, you don't.
Right?
Because it's very difficult to generate momentum.
Yeah, I mean, selling out shows in Bangalore, in different venues is not for everyone. And I think everyone who comes once, then they're hooked. I don't think if you love theater, if you love art, if you love acting, because I see so many people talk to the cast and they'll be like, "मैं क्या करूँ? मतलब मैं कैसे शुरू करूँ?"
In fact, I must say that is the goal of theater, Mama, to make theater a community hobby, a favorite community hobby,
accessible.
Like it was. Yeah. Not only just to perform, but to watch it as well. We want people to come together and watch theater.
Yeah.
Because it is entertainment at the end of the day. And it is entertainment at almost like a live performance.
Yeah.
So movies, and now with OTT and all, everything is coming to you.
Yeah.
But theater cannot come to you. You have to go to theater. So we want to do that. We want to bring people back to theater, because that is where we are not only connecting to the audience, but the audience are also connecting with each other. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, my father is from NIT School, or KREC as it was called back then, in the batch of 84. And they turn out in great numbers to watch the play.
Every time.
And for them, it's also an opportunity to meet up with each other, to catch up, have dinner afterwards. It's also an excuse to come together. And that's what we want to provide. We want people to come together, watch the show, and also get to know each other. The community should grow, the community should come. Yeah. And indulge, because of COVID and everything, we become so compartmentalized in our own lives. It's great that when people come together and just watch it. And I'm very grateful to them as well, the batch of 84. They keep us young,
Yeah.
They have not, on paper, they might be 60 plus, but the energy that they bring into every event is nothing short of a 20-year-old. So hats off to them. Similarly, everybody who comes. In fact, I think now after Gagan, we are seeing the impact of that. We are seeing people connect with each other. We are seeing people coming together, excited for theater as such.
Yeah.
And that is what our goal is.
Yeah.
I would say on behalf of Ashish and Kanishka,
right.
And on behalf of Theatre Nama, it's to make theater a favorite hobby of the community.
Yeah,
that's
wonderful. And you also try to cultivate the spark in each individual. Like Garvit, he had some directorial talent, and now he's come out with his own play. So in their own mind, they would have been like, "Yeah, dude, but it's a bit too early. Let me do a bit of acting." But then I don't know what pushed him, or how Ashish saw that happen. And the play was wonderful. Aisa Kehte Hain. Yeah.
No, Garvit was very keen on direction from day one, and he had he was extremely candid that direction is a step forward for him. But he also and Ashish, in fact, I think if I remember right, Garvit was like, "I don't really want to act," and Ashish was like, "If you don't act, how will you control? If you've not been an actor yourself, how will you be able to guide the other actor?"
That's the basics.
Yeah. So he's also acted in. He played my father's role in Gagan Mama Party.
Yeah.
He was playing and Vatsala, who was playing my mother. She's played mother in, like I was talking about the Golden Rule a few minutes ago. She's played mother in almost a lot of plays, all our plays.
Yeah.
She's playing somebody's mother. She's become like a designated mother of the group,
Yeah.
But she's
kind of non-conformist in that sense.
So she's so much more capable. So she's also waiting. We're also waiting to see what more she has to offer.
Right.
So that's with Garvit as well. And Garvit also, like when I was saying, he handles so much of the backstage activities, even in acting, props, costumes, he takes a lot of headache. Not only to bring the costumes, but take them back as well, take the props back as well.
Yeah.
So all these things are not, like I said, not easy to do.
Exactly.
We have a great team, and thank our stars for that. Because nothing comes easy. There's so much activity. Like I said, I am the least person to take the credit for the success of a show. Though I'll be the first one to take it for the failure, but for the success, there's just so much that's come to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of dirty work that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah, that nobody. There's no
very few people are aware. And you have to play different roles. You know, immediately after the show, you got to like arrange for the stuff to be taken back, and there's no one else no other crew is going to come and take care of it.
That's a challenge of theatre.
Yeah,
the challenge of pursuing this art form.
Yeah,
like everything has to be done by yourself.
Right.
Hats off to you guys to do so much.
Yeah. But then, you know, after all, it's a memorization of a script, right? Which is being portrayed there. And sometimes, you know, memory can fail you. You know, sometimes you by hearted something, and then somehow your mood is not right, and then you're like, "Dude, I'm not recalling properly." So does that happen? Do you get into like that panic, or now it's you know, you've gotten over that? Or you practice that much that
is the goal. That's when, if you forget, that's where improvisation comes in. Like even if you forget the line, you don't forget the situation. So you say something which the character was going to say anyway.
Yeah.
That is where your preparation as an actor, you don't just by heart. You understand the situation. You understand where the character is in that situation. What is
what context
him or her, or what is going to come forward? What is the step they are taking? In what direction? So these are the things that you basically do to understand the character enough, so that even if you forget the line as it is said or as it is written, you don't lose the plot.
Yeah,
that is the goal. But personally, for me, I don't want to give that excuse to myself. I want it to be. I actually thrive on the fact that I don't want to forget anything. Even if like I said, I do add words and remove words or say it in a different way, but I want to say what is written. That is a primary objective for me.
True.
So I leave no stone unturned in trying to learn that.
Yeah.
In fact, in acting, the other golden rule is you need to read a script 100 times. Right? I think beyond 10 times, anybody you give it to will remember the lines. You'll have to put effort.
Yeah.
So it's a repetitive effort. That is why it is not a hobby. It is something you have to be passionate about.
Exactly.
Because
that's what I was coming to. Yeah.
For 100 times,
yeah.
To read a script 100
there is a lot of pain that goes into it, you know, because it's nice to watch the Olympics and see people race after 4 years, and Usain Bolt looks like he's flying down the track like a cheetah or a leopard. And he says that there's 4 years of effort that goes into it. Yeah, you know, under the boiling sun with his coach and all that. What you see is the end product. So it's not as easy as it seems. It's a lot of effort that you put into it.
There's a lot of it's your fight within yourself, right? It's your fight against your own excuses. It's your fight against your own lethargy or tiredness. Like you always say, "Oh, okay, I finished my work. Do I really have to do this kind of thing?" Before you have to say that, "No, I want to do it for the right reasons." So it's about how pure your motivation is also.
Yeah.
So that plays a huge part.
Yeah.
For me, it's like about trying to. You will make mistakes.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. You might even make mistakes on stage. Like I said, in position that happened on my part. In Gagan, it happened on somebody else's part, and I was lucky enough to be in a position to cover it up without anybody. So it is teamwork. It is trusting each individual. It is trust within the group. And it is about having the attitude that I will not mess up. I don't want to mess up. I want to prepare so much that there is no scope for messing up. I think that again for me is a product of my journey in cricket and sports.
Yeah.
That you prepare so well that you don't want to lose, right? That competitive spirit. So you're competing with yourself.
Yeah.
Like how much effort. I think that's what I'm learning with every play. my personal learning is how much effort do I have to put in to learn the lines. That's when the acting begins actually. And then how much more time I want to read. So that reading 100 times becomes a norm for me.
Yeah.
Becomes something that I do without it sounding like, oh shit, I have to read 100 times.
Yeah.
I want to develop that habit. That is my goal. That is my goal for an everyday level because that's what I can control. And you only control the controllables.
So true. Yeah.
So that is it. And then rehearsal, of course. Rehearsal is also another space where you. And I think Ashish has enough confidence that I will not forget lines. Maybe that is why he trusts me so much.
Yeah. But another thing is with passion, you find that, like for me, especially once the work is done and once, I shut down the laptop, then there's some burst of energy that I have because now is my time. I'm doing it for my own reasons and I know, I have that conviction.
Yeah.
So that's when you you feel like you're living a different life altogether and you suddenly find that, you've suddenly, your day has started again, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes it easier.
It does.
But yeah. So what do you have to say for people, that it's better you keep it as a hobby, you don't take it up as a profession. So how would you address
I
such
think
views?
they come from from a point of view, from a position where they really they love you and they're looking out for the best interest of your future.
Yeah.
There is no doubt that their heart is beating for you, right? But I think it is also a product of the times they grew up in. Because back then, everybody, the whole country was just recovering from the colonial hangover and finding a job and to be able to stand up on your feet was the biggest need of the hour.
Yes.
And there were so many
They
families.
were content with that.
Yeah. I mean, they had no choice. They had no choice. And they worked so hard just to provide us the luxury of choice. And now I feel that my own father, he has done so much not only for us but for an extended family as well. For what? I mean, is it just sometimes I sit in question? Is it just to provide us enough resources that by that I mean education and things like that, where we are able to just work and then continue the life?
You don't want to live an average life.
Yeah, or is it
you want to just make it big?
Yeah, or is it that he has given us this kind of a platform, where we have the luxury of choice. And it is a luxury in every way. There is no two ways about it, and I'm extremely grateful to them, to their entire generation. Like I said, I interact with a lot of his peers because they have such a strong alumni bond. And each of them are heroes in their own sense. And each of them have achieved so much and they come from nothing. Like my father, for example, at the age of 14, did not know the meaning of OUR. He tells us this story, Now, if you speak to him, he might not have the largest basket of vocabulary, but he speaks in impeccable grammar, and so. And for me, it's like he has come from there, and he has done so much. If anything, I feel it is an insult for me to not even try. You
got to take it forward in your own way. And
I mean,
set
if I
out your
don't
own
try
path.
to do something that I have, in fact, I can say that this whole effort of trying to be something that or to do something that your heart wants, is me doing that for two generations, for my own generation and for my father's generation, because they worked so hard because they had no choice of following their dreams over here. Very few of them actually could do that. And now I'm like, it's almost an insult to them if I just carry on with the mundane lives. That's what I see it as. And that's what I'm sure even he sees it. Of course, like I said, but at the same time, I'm a very practical person. So I'm trying to create multiple sources of income. I think every person who's following art should do that because there is no success in terms of monetary benefit is quite delayed.
Exactly.
It's like that. it's like Usain Bolt theory, right?
Yeah.
You might find it after 5 years, but for those 5 years, you're still under the ground. You're still a root.
You got to cover your bases
Yeah.
so that you can do whatever you want on the side and not be worried about your main source of income. And you don't want your passion to become your work.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
Then
because
mundane.
Then
so right now it's like I don't have to worry about because I have an active job and I'm trying to build a portfolio on the stock market that can churn out returns for me, passive income, so to speak. And I'm doing this for the love of growth as an actor, for the love of acting itself, so that when my time comes, I don't know when it will come.
Yeah.
But, whenever it comes, I have prepared myself with every ounce of energy that I have, and with a very, very pure motivation. So I'm like a sponge who's absorbing everything for the right reasons, not just for name and fame. Name and fame, the motivation of recognition will not allow you to push yourself too fast for 3 days.
True.
I think that motivation has to be extremely pure. It has to come from the heart. And it was the same for cricket as well. Like the reason I picked up performing arts at a very late point in my life was I realized that it is something that gets me out of the bed at 4 a.m. without an alarm, even if I've gone to sleep at 2 a.m.
True.
And it's the same for all my teammates, I think. So that is what it is, right? I have faced when I was setting up the business with in Harvard with my father, because he was not there, he was still doing his active job. So I was the engine of that organization. So I used to travel to Bangalore for work and find myself extremely lethargic to get up and go to office at that time. Or how conduct a meeting before 11 was like a big question on myself. But at the same time, I should travel to Bangalore for matches or travel to Harvard from Bangalore to go play for my club there or play for my club here. And I didn't need to rest at all. I would straight off the train, I would go to the game. So, and I'm not.
Because you love doing it.
Exactly. And I'm not somebody who can sleep peacefully in moving vehicles anyway.
Right.
But I did not need any effort. And I was looking for something like that again. Because obviously cricket, sports is an age. It's the factor of success is highly proportional to being young.
Exactly.
But acting is not like that. Acting, I think the older you are, the better actor you are. So I'm very clear in my head.
Like the new guy was there in Gagan. He's 49 years old.
Ravinderji. Oh yeah, I have to share this with you, right? So for him, can you imagine, like for him at the age of 48 to take the stage, to break all his inhibitions. And he told this to Ashish, and I was there. I could take you to that particular spot right now. That's how strong that memory is. He hugged Ashish and he said, because of you, at this age, after all this while, after all the struggles that I've gone through, 300 people are clapping for me.
Wow.
And for me, that moment is etched in my memory forever. And Ashish also was almost emotional. And he was like, this is what we have achieved. So to bring somebody out of their closet, out of their inhibitions, to break inhibitions. And it was not very simple. Like up until last 10 days of the show, he was having trouble remembering, and he is delivering for the first time.
You can tell. I mean, he's an introverted, shy guy who's not been exposed and who's not been performing in front of people or public speaking or anything. So he still came out of his shell.
Exactly. And in fact, during rehearsal, there was a point where he, without fumble, he took all his dialogues once. The rehearsal stopped, and I could see Aman and Kanishka and all these guys dancing. We just celebrating the fact that he did it. That memory is so.
You're happy for the other person's success.
And everybody just started dancing. Come on, Ravinderji, you did this. And that's the camaraderie that you live for. And after cricket, I found it in this group. So because that's also something you miss when you play a team sport. You miss that camaraderie. You miss that that feeling of enjoying each other's success. Exactly. So that is the best thing about it. That just that feeling when you enjoy the other person's success is amazing. It helps you sleep so much more peacefully at night.
I
love that.
So what's the end goal, Pratik? Because now, I mean, this is obviously a process, and you have an objective in mind. Although you take it one step at a time, you don't try to jump the gun or anything. But I mean, is it films, or do you want to continue theater, do it at a bigger level, go abroad, or because that definitely is potential, and I think now even you're convinced that you can make it as an actor.
Yeah, I think the goal is to get on screen.
Yeah.
The goal is to be an actor and get paid for it. But I'm not living in any delusion or illusion that I should only debut or only do it as a hero.
Mainstream.
Yeah. As just like a lot of people come here and want to be the hero. I'm not there. I'm very clear in my head that I want to act and I want to get paid for it. I want to do meaningful, good roles that challenge me as an actor, roles that challenge me to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
That is my goal. But that is a larger picture, right? For me, again, that falls in the region of uncontrollables. A lot of factors come in for you to reach that level. But for an everyday basis, I want to be, like I said, I want to be so productive that reading a script 100 times, for a small example, doesn't seem like an effort. It seems like every day. So I want to be able to extract a lot from each minute. That is my goal. That is the goal that I want to control, that I can control. And that is what I want to reach for theater and in life as well. Because theater also has involved so much reading, not just the script, like you go and read about the art form itself. If a character like Bhagat Singh will instigate you to read about history, and I love history. So it's just about developing that all-round habit where you are able to extract so much from each minute.
Yeah.
Make each minute so much more productive. That is what I'm chasing. And I'll be very candid. I'm a dreamer. So I tend to lose time very quickly. And I actually tend to also lose a lot of time on my phone. I'll be very candid about that as well. So I want to cut that. These are the things that I want to achieve for myself in the larger picture, obviously to be on screen and be paid for it as an actor. But on an everyday level, to be able to go back after work or just be productive in the limited time that you all get.
Right.
I think everybody has 24 hours is what you do.
Yeah. So and this is also on the side. This is not your core work. This is not you're doing for what you're doing for the whole of the day.
Yeah.
This is sometime you find in the evening or late nights, and
whatever.
That's when you try to be as efficient as possible and squeeze in your max.
You're just trying to increase that productivity. Like even if it's first thing is about extracting the best out of the 1 hour that you get.
Yeah.
Then of course increasing it to 1.5 hours or 2 hours, or how much ever you can squeeze into the day.
Right.
It's about finding that discipline.
Yeah.
I'll be extremely honest, extremely candid that I think in the first half of my life I've wasted a lot of time. I don't intend to do that mistake.
Right.
No matter where I end up, these are the things that I want to improve on as a person, as an individual.
Right.
What happens next is not really in my control. It's the larger picture.
Right.
So it's fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, what sparked that Kida in you? Because to become an actor, it's not, it's not an everyday aim, or it's not something that you can just dream of. Or for me, I mean, how many of the plays I watch, I'm maybe, I would do it as a challenge, but it's not something I would embrace. I don't see myself being on stage and performing that part, because I don't know if I have that personality, or that doesn't attract me. So what was your influence? What sparked you? What made you feel like I need to be on stage? I need to one day, be on the big screen, or what drove you towards that?
So actually, I have been active on stage in school as well. But because I was such a focused cricketer that it had to take a backseat. I think after my 10th grade, I couldn't do anything that is remotely related to acting. Or performing arts. I used to do a bit of anchoring here and there. And in fact, during my college, I used to also do this web show for a company where I was interviewing research experts on the stock market. And if you look at it, it's such a weird thing, such a coincidence that now life has come a full circle, and now I'm trying to extract my one source of income from the stock market. back then I didn't know what I was doing. I was just getting to be in front of camera. So I guess I had an inclination. But cricket was my main focus. And then when after once cricket didn't work out, obviously I was not good enough. You have to be really good enough to represent India in cricket. Though in my younger days I played, because I was in Dubai for a while. Like I played for the under 15s. I played university cricket. I think that's all I could do. And I learned from those mistakes. I was working hard in phases and not always in the right direction. People don't realize that if you practice the wrong things, you get better at doing the wrong things.
So true.
So I think with my growth in life, I have learned that okay, what I should not do repetitively if I'm doing it wrong, right?
Yeah.
So that and then when I was in Harvard with the business, I did not really have a lot of social life. Though I am from Harvard, but I spent the majority of my life outside it. And at the point when I went back, a lot of my school friends from early childhood had also moved out for jobs and stuff like that. So I was playing cricket at my academy there. That was my one social circle. And I was also part of this organization called Roundtable India. So, which basically, in a nutshell, has constructed one classroom every day for the past decade. That's how much classroom they've built for the undergraduate students. Past 2 decades, I think. So there was also a social element to that organization where we would do activities for fundraising and this and that. So my chairman for that year in Harvard Roundtable 60 was this gentleman called Dr. Shrikant.
Okay.
And he asked me to anchor this event that we were doing for to raise funds called Mrs. Harvard. It was a beauty pageant. Then to raise funds for a particular school. Then next year we took it up a notch higher and we missed Harvard, and that was a huge success. I mean, we had 5-6 cameras interviewing these girls, and they were like stars. And one of them, I think, also did some movies as well, in Tulu movies eventually. So these girls were treated like stars, and we thought, what media will come from this event? We just had one person, enough space for one person. Suddenly, the whole marketing activity somehow hit the critical mass, and it became a huge thing.
Yeah,
we had to get bodyguards and stuff like that. So for the
that's attractive, right? Because you say you're going to become a star suddenly, and
it sort of
you sell a dream to someone.
No, we had to get bodyguards because we had sold tickets for whatever, and lot more people wanted to come in. To control the
excess demand.
Yeah, and that the event started from 11 o'clock and ended at 11 o'clock in the night. But for me as an anchor, I was there from 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And previous night, we were also again doing stage work and setting up things and everything, testing mics, rehearsing and everything. And the night ended at 2 o'clock. Woke up 6 o'clock, got ready, went to the venue, prepared till 11, whatever I had to do, that last minute checking and everything. To do sponsor work. So, and I did not feel tired one bit. I just felt extremely energetic. I felt alive in every moment on stage.
Yeah.
And then I started anchoring a lot after that. I did 4 or 5 more events like that in Harvard. So, no matter how small or big it was. Then I used to do for MMA India here. The Bangalore Open now. It's in 6th edition now this year, I think. So, through my gym in Harvard, Mahesh Jantli, so he introduced me to Prasad Gaitamde, who heads MMA Karnataka. Right. So I was able to anchor that event. That event also straight 3 days, finish at 2, start at 6. Finish at 2, start. By the 3rd day, I lost my voice, but it was worth it. So I realized that I was having fun. At that point, I didn't know that this was what I wanted to do. But I knew that here is something that is allowing me to get up off the bed without an alarm. And I enjoyed it so much. Then Vipassana happened. I did Vipassana, the 10-day silent program. And for anybody who's known me, for me to shut up for 10 days is a huge thing. So my mom, I think, was almost in tears that how the hell did you shut up for 10 days? That self-introspection allowed me to come to a conclusion that I love cricket, I love sport, and I love this because, like in cricket, when the ball is delivered, in that split second, I am completely surrendered to that moment, whether I'm batting, bowling, or fielding. Similarly, when I'm on stage,
all time, the voices are
everything is closed up. You're just completely surrendered, and I enjoy that the most.
Yeah.
So that is what the realization was. But then you don't know what it takes to, you even have it in you to be an actor.
True.
So I went for
self-doubt is always
no, it was more a practical doubt.
Yeah.
It's not only about self-doubt. So I went for a diploma to Bombay, this institute called Institute of Creative Excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And I had amazing teachers there. All of them were either from NSD or FTII. And Lakshmi ma'am was one of my teachers in that institute. She was able to guide me to a point where we were doing scene work, and at some point I realized that it was not me who was speaking, it was the character. And when it happened for the first time, it's almost like a realization, like, wow, who spoke there? It definitely wasn't me.
And that's very, like surreal, no?
Yeah,
I mean,
it was. Yeah. And she's like, this is my job in business, to see if you can reach there, for you to realize that you can reach there. And she told me, and I said, you have the mind for it, just keep working hard. And that was all the encouragement that I did. Because then I saw it in myself also. For that few minutes, it was not me who was speaking, it was somebody else. Pratik is always present at the back of the mind.
Yeah.
Because acting is also that you need to be aware of where you are. You need to be aware of your blocking. You need to be aware of where the light is. So you are so present in that moment and yet so surrendered.
Yeah. And you become the character.
You become the character.
And I've seen that every time you're on stage.
Yeah. And but you're also yourself in a moment. I mean, for example, you know where the light is subconsciously.
Yeah.
You have to be so present.
Yeah.
And when it comes to camera acting, you also have to realize the frame, right? You can emote a great scene, but if you're off the frame,
right,
your face is hidden. So that acting as a craft is so much about surrendering to the moment.
So like your brain is Pratik, but your heart is Bhagat.
Probably, yeah, so to speak. And it's a mixture of that. And it's such a beautiful thing, right? It's only who experience it probably can relate to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of sportsmen relate to it because that's what happens. You played football, right? You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you don't know who has kicked the ball.
Yeah.
And it's just cool that everything is hit the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Same with cricket as well. There are moments in cricket where I'm like, shit, this just happened like a dream that I played out some 2 nights ago in my head when I was visualizing.
True.
So that is what it was for me. And that joy I found in acting. Luckily, acting, unlike sports, doesn't have an age limit or a limit to where you can find success.
Yeah.
So that's what is my pure motivation, to be honest with you. So in that course, I also obviously learned a lot about the nuances of preparation. And as much as people see the glitz and glamour of an actor's life, it is nothing like it once the camera goes off.
Not always a bed of roses.
Never a bed of roses, I would say. Because the kind of work these guys do is to just get that out is insane. Like, nobody sees that.
Yeah. It's a small team, end of the day. Yeah. You don't have big backing or a lot of funds to put everything together.
Yeah.
The actors just playing backstage and then getting logistics together. Yeah. So
not even in film, the kind of effort that each person
exactly
is insane. Yeah. People think actors' life is going on camera, and no, it's not. It's like a lot of
it's 90% planning.
Yeah.
And
preparation.
5 to 10% is
what you see. But under that is so much.
Yeah,
so much that goes on. And you realize once you start researching about how an actor prepares, a particular actor prepares, or what they've gone through for the role. I'm not a movie buff. I watch very less movies, but the ones that I do like, I watch them like almost like a student.
Right.
And I in fact watch the making whenever it's available, whichever movie puts it up, because that sort of gives me an insight as to what was happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that keeps me intrigued, like how a particular. And
I just want to mention a point there. Now, in Bhagat especially, it could be your eyes or, the way your face is shaped. But then I could see Ajay Devgan in you the moment you put the hat on.
Maybe that's just a part of.
I don't know if you got that from anyone else, but was that part of your process? Like, because he's done a few Bhagat movies.
Right? No, I think
did you like his films?
No, and the effort was not to.
Right, because that plays off on you.
I think you notice that because the hat and the way he wears it, I've seen the photos. It is so iconic. It's difficult to look past that. So if a lot of people felt that, it's because of
the ones with limited knowledge, that's all you know about Bhagat, right?
Yeah.
The moustache and the hat.
Those are
kind of the symbol.
And that is not going to go away from
Yeah.
your mind,
Yeah.
from your memory.
Yeah.
So that is why probably you would relate to that.
Mhm.
I will now actually, if there is no second show happening, but there is a talk of us doing it again on August 15th.
By public demand.
Oh yeah, hopefully. But if it is happening again on August 15th, I will still not watch the movie.
I mean, what a day to have
Do
it.
it, yeah. I mean, I think if
And
what I've learned
75 years as well.
75 years,
Amrit Mahal.
I think it's almost destined. So hopefully it happens. So if it happens on that day, after that I will go and watch the movie. Then I'll probably see what we are. But movie is also a different medium, right? Where the camera comes here, the audience literally there's a close up. The audience is literally brought to this point. But stage is different. Stage needs a different projection. So it's never going to be the same. But
Not apples to apples.
No, it's not. It's not. It's very different. And, it's also like I said that day the energy was so much.
Right. So it was mainly text for you. In Bhagat at least it was reading and getting into
Reading a lot of reading. In fact, I'm still reading about him because, as like I said, I'm fascinated by history and I'm fascinated by this individual who could do so much. But and there is just no end to it. Like the guy had so much maturity. At the age of 23, he was way ahead of his time. I mean, Shahid Bhagat Singh is one of those enigmas of history that can never be solved because he passed away at such a young age.
Yeah.
But if there's any way that I can, any access to his mind through his words or writings or people that have written up who knew him and have written, I want to consume that. And not just for the character, but just for the person that he is, just for the kind of mind he had from whatever I've read so far, and I've barely scratched the surface. So I would just love talking about it, thinking about it.
Yeah. So you said something interesting earlier about films, right? You get into the making of and the back end part of it, how it's created. So any one film that really caught your fancy and you were kind of riveted to it and wanted to look into it more deeply from
I think
recent
one of
past?
the most documented making is Lagan.
Lagan, yeah.
The making itself is almost another movie in itself. That is how detailed it is. And of course, Amir Khan is so invested in the project, and everybody, so you realize what a great effort it is to bring the cinema on the screen. That was one. The other was Detective Mukesh Bakshi, which was played by the late Sushant Singh Rajput. Even that has a making, I think, and that making in itself was another quite a bit of an education.
Right.
So these two, I think, stand like in my memory, just sort of they stand out. And I've watched Lagan, of course, came out when I was in school, and obviously that time I was a cricketer and still in love with the game.
Yeah.
So I watched that movie so many times just for the cricket part of it. But as now that when I became older and I started pursuing this, I went back and then saw it for other reasons. Same with Detective Mukesh Bakshi. I think it was such an underrated movie of Sushant Singh Rajput.
Yeah.
She's done great work. The director has done great work. They just take you if you watch that movie. They just take you back to those times.
True.
They make you relive.
Now there's one more by Randeep coming out also. Yeah.
I saw the poster.
First look.
It's
unreal.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. So I love. So these are the things. These are some movies that are right on top of my head.
Right.
But I'll also read about a lot of how it was done.
For
whatever anchors interview I can get my hands on, they're talking about the character.
That gives you a nice perspective, right? Into how exactly it came about.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're kind of just seeing the front end, like it's
seeing the
it's a facade. You want to see the engine and
you want to see how
it was built.
Yeah, how it was from scratch, and what effort each actor took. Because I think, like I'm learning now, every role commands a different kind of preparation. With every step that you have achieved and you learned from your method to prepare also through this.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's like finding an address. Once you find it, you can keep going back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's about
the path is set in your mind.
Yeah. So how do you discover that address, right? So what you can take 100 different routes to get there. So I think with each performance, you tend to refine that process.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that as I go along on the journey. I'm trying to learn that.
Yeah.
That is in a nutshell. That's what it is.
So, I mean, do you admire anyone in the current acting world or in directing? Whom you kind of model your craft on? Like, yeah, I look to him for inspiration. What a great
I look, to be honest with you, I'm a Kannadiga. My mother tongue is Kannada, and I have picked up Telugu along the way. So, and obviously, if you're in Bangalore, you're exposed to Tamil and Malayalam as well. Yeah. So, what I'm trying to say is, I have been lucky to be exposed to each industry, different industries. So, I have a lot of people to look up to.
Yeah.
A lot of people, right from Dr. Rajkumar to Vishnu to Shankar Nag. I mean, Shankar Nag is such a huge loss to the filmmaking community of India. So, this is from here.
Puneet.
Yeah, I mean, Puneet sir is just like, I mean, I don't even know why this happened.
Yeah, so it's such a shocking death. I was traveling at the time. Yeah, I lost my mind.
And it's not for nothing that 26 lakh people will turn up at your funeral.
Yeah, and then
you're lucky.
The organ donation that they did, a lot of people pledged their organs because he did that.
So you're able to move people, right? So these legends had that. So even from a neighboring state, if you look at Kamal Hassan ji, Rajni sir, you look at Chiranjeevi ji,
Fahad Fazil.
Fahad Fazil, I'm a huge fan of Fahad Fazil. I'm a huge fan of Malayalam industry where it is currently. It is just amazing the kind of
the stuff they put out. I mean, the scripts are so strong,
so crisp.
Yeah. So unconventional as well. Like each movie is, a work of art on its own.
Dulquer Salman and Parvati Tiruvotu is one of my personal.
Yeah.
Like you asked me, who do I look up to? It will be shocking, but it's not. Shouldn't be shocking because we shouldn't be living in a patriarchal world anymore. But it is her, and it is, if anything, because I have seen her work. She started off with being the leading lady, which she describes in her own words as in one of her interviews. She said that it's not that I don't appreciate people just running around and singing and dancing, but I think there are better people who could do it than she says that. But though she started her journey that way.
Yeah.
And now I see her work with every movie. I'm like, shit, man. Like she erases the memory of previous work. That is what I mean when I say I model myself upon her. It's that ability to erase your previous work,
transform and metamorphose into a different being.
Yeah. And in a recent interview, she uses what anthropological approach to acting, right?
Right.
So it's like wow, like in the sense like
study of human behavior.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you are so invested in that character that you're making people forget your previous work.
That's a massive achievement.
That is very difficult to do because visuals are so powerful. And
Irfan in the same breath.
Yeah.
He would do that.
He would be able to do that effortlessly. And in fact, they have done a movie together called Kareeb Kareeb Single, right? Which has Irfan and Parvati both.
Right.
And just that movie is so wonderful. So she's somebody that I admire. I also admire her for who she is outside of being a star. She has no reservations about speaking her mind. She's so brave. She, along with a few other women, they formed this thing called WCC, Women in Cinema Collective,
right,
which looks out for the protection of non-exploitation of women who come to cinema. Right?
Yeah, those cohorts are needed to protect their interests.
And she's not scared of losing anything. Because as an actor, sometimes when you are at that stature, you have a lot to lose. You might want to be careful about who you take on. And she has no fear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, she's a hero
yeah,
in every sense of the word. So I admire her a lot. I look up to her. No offense to anybody else, but if you ask me, and then of course my whole family from my father's generation has been a fan of from my grandfather's generation has been a fan of Amitabh Bachchan. So here is a man who transcends lifetimes with just the kind of work he does. My grandfather was an Amitabh Bachchan fan. My father is an Amitabh Bachchan fan. Now I am an Amitabh Bachchan fan. And for all you know, tomorrow, the generation of today, the kids who are in school now are also his fans. And I saw his look in Brahmastra and I was like, wow, how cool can this person be?
Yeah.
So him, and of course, any kid in the 90s, grew up in the 90s, will obviously look up to Shah Rukh Khan as an actor, and as a phenomenal person in itself. And I admire both their minds. I mean, if you the more than their movies, I watch their interviews. I like to get an insight of their mind, and they're just phenomenal. I think the way they think, the way they approach a particular subject is so unique, and that's what makes them who they are. And I'm always curious to understand what makes them who they are. So what we see on screen is, of course, wow, it's a wow product. But how did they get there? I'm always really a curious child at heart. I still am. And I think as an actor, you have to retain that innocence in your heart. So these guys are just like all these guys, from different industries. And people sometimes are in this illusion that, we look up to Hollywood. No, I mean, I don't have to show you 10 of Dr. Rajkumar's movies. I can show you one 5-minute monologue, and anybody who knows acting in any form will look at it and they'll be like, wow.
Exactly.
Like, wow, like what has this guy done? So that in that 5-minute monologue, he is an institution in itself who defines it. So similarly with other actors like Kamal Haasan ji, Rajni sir, all these guys, Dulquer Salman, all these guys, and Parvati, like I said, for the way she just like changes and becomes a different person. To Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan for the intensity that they bring on the screen. And Shah Rukh Khan for just the conviction that he has for every monologue or dialogue or this, I mean, if you read those lines objectively, they come across as very like, who says all this, man? The conviction that man has, that character has, like from Kalpana, I say like, man, I love you very, very much.
The delivery.
It's not the delivery, it's the conviction, the belief he has in each of those words. मैं आंखें बंद करता हूँ तो तुम्हें देखता हूँ, मैं आंखें खोलता हूँ तो तुम्हें देखना चाहता हूँ. It's just that he believes that he is saying that, and his character is saying that out of complete surrender, out of the heart. He believes that, and it's that belief that we get attracted to. So I have so much to learn, man. And all these guys, I observe them very, very closely.
And some people, if you observe, like some of the names you mentioned, they're born to do a certain thing. Like these people who are born to act, they were born to do films. It's like asking Sachin to go play hockey or football. That would never work. And I think that's our end goal and our purpose in life. We have to find out, what we are built for. What is that one thing that we would excel at without effort. Because there is some element of, a natural flair that comes out.
Correct you there. Forget the natural flair and all these things. Nothing comes without effort. But the fact is that that effort seems enjoyable. So
it doesn't seem forced.
I'm sure, like I've heard stories of Shah Rukh Khan working so hard. Hardly he ever sleeps. So it's about that.
It's about why I'm saying that is because if you look at the younger generation, I mean, no offense to them, Sara Ali Khan and all these people, they've got, a long way to go. Janvi also for that matter. But they're not in the same league. I mean, not like Sridevi, not like Saif or Amrita Singh for that matter.
No, I think they're being far, we are judging them too early. And I'll tell you why. If you look at Alia Bhatt's career, right, the way she started, probably what we are saying
class,
now,
she's good.
There, people would have said that about her as well. But look at her growth. Look at her career graph. Phenomenal. Maybe let's give them time. And at the end of the day, this industry is a great leveler. like sport is a great leveler, and they will survive and or fail at their own.
True. Yeah. I mean, however far nepotism goes, you can all see through it. And now the public demands, that you deliver a certain standard, because movies can be out there anyway. You can put something on YouTube, you can put something Netflix, OTT, got so many platforms. So it's not only the big screen, like it's got to be worth the money for people to go and watch.
And you cannot lie to the camera.
Yeah.
Camera captures everything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it captures everything.
Yeah.
That is how it is.
True. Like some of them are there for the money, the way I see it now. And because they're always trending on Insta, they're always,
like
wearing
now
skimpy clothes and
social media stars that you have. But there it's a short-lived platform because somebody more interesting than you will pop out.
Yeah.
End of the day, it's about the hard work you put in.
Yeah.
And substance that you bring.
Yeah.
And that substance is not going to come easy.
True.
You cannot just become ride your life based on one viral video.
True.
It's what you do after that.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Somewhere, I mean, it's also the digitization and all that to blame, but the authenticity has gone missing. People are like, dude, I'll make one reel and that will fly and I'll be famous again. That's how I'm going to stay relevant. Say something
like I said, something more interesting will always pop out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta work.
There's so much noise around.
Yeah. You need to have solid skill set.
Yeah.
To survive in any industry, not just this. It's about building that skill set.
Yeah.
It's about being honest to your work.
True. And I hope that gets valued and retained.
It will
at the end of the day. Yeah. Because Shreyas Talpade, these guys, Rajpal Yadav and Randeep for that matter, just such amazing actors. And they should be like class A. They should be right on top. But somewhere, they kind of get these offbeat roles and you don't see them as often as you would like.
Yeah, I mean, we never know the backstory. I mean, we don't know how much of them they're accepting, how much they're rejecting. But I think they are also convinced about what they want to do. They are also convinced about which project they want to be a part of.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're very clear on that.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to be a Shah Rukh Khan or a... Because these guys used to work 3-3 shifts. Anupam Kher, all these guys. They used to work 3-3 shifts in the 90s. It doesn't happen anymore. And thank God. I mean, I don't know what their bodies are made of to sustain such a stress level.
Yeah.
But it's not everybody's piece of cake to be that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think they're very clear that they are happy with what they do.
Yeah.
And eventually, everybody gets their due.
Yeah.
I'm convinced about that. I think everybody.
It's also a business, I mean, if a production house is investing in them, they need ultimately, for people to turn up and for them to make a profit. Yeah. It should be a
business
blockbuster.
Bottom line is as valued in this industry as in India.
Yeah.
Perhaps far more here.
Yeah.
You are not just a product of thing, but I think if you have strong skill set, you'll be able to survive.
True.
Whether you become the next big thing, nobody knows. That is a product of how much people accept you also. In what capacity.
That shouldn't be the only thing you're working towards as well.
Yeah.
It should be other things that satisfy you, make up for that.
I think
okay. So I think we've covered most of it. Pratik, it was a pleasure. About 2 hours, I think. Recording was. Yeah. And any closing comments before we wind up?
Closing comment would be please support theatre. Please support Theatre Nama and other theatre groups, and try to either play sport or do some sort of performing arts in your life. It will teach you a lot. So anybody who's out there, no matter how old you are, it may be difficult to pick up a sport at the age of 45, or 50 or 60, but you're almost always welcome to the theatre.
Yeah, I mean, you're a canvas and the world is your stage.
Yeah.
So, find the artist in you.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to wind up. So, thanks everyone. Thanks for watching. That's it for this episode. Hope you liked it. It was a very candid chat. It's a very sort of open tete-a-tete that I had with Pratik. And with this, we'll wind up today's episode and stay tuned. So until the next one, cheers and bye for now.